Hello, folks. I'm Devoted, and you're on Small Talk with Devoted. And today, my guest is Roger Burnley, who is a vocal coach out of Hollywood, California. Roger, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Derek. So good to be here and talk to you again. This is terrific.
Yeah, so Roger was somebody that I got in touch with through some of my mutual network, and he interviewed me on his show, which is Overcoming Everything. And we'll have a link for that as well in this video. So you guys can go check that out and check out Roger's, platforms and such. Definitely want to put him on Front Street for coming on and doing this for y'all. So Roger, tell us a bit about your musical background. Just dive in wherever you wish.
Wherever I wish. Okay. I'm an unlikely musical person because I didn't even know. I tell this story all the time. I think when I was in school, maybe about 12 or so, I discovered that I could kind of sing. And I thought, oh, that was really fun. I never thought about it as being a career or anything that I might do to earn money. Never. And so because of that, I never pursued it. And then I was also told something when I was much younger, which a lot of us are, that I was limited, that I couldn't do much, that my voice wasn't quite right. I was told all that stuff. And so for years, I thought, okay, I guess that's not what I'm supposed to do in life. So I tried to do everything else. I went to school, I went to college. I mean, I did all of these different things, everything except music. Couldn't get there. My brain would not allow that to happen. And so then when I was much later in my life, I thought, oh, wait a minute. I still think I want to sing. I mean, there were periods of times where I would go in and take a couple of voice lessons here and there, but I never ever followed through. I never stayed with it. And then later on, I decided, no, I'm going to really do this. There's something that's still there. I've got to figure it out. Now, I'm in my 30s at this point when this happened. So just to appreciate that. And so, but then I discovered that I had a lot of trouble with my voice, physical trouble, because I had not used it. I had not developed it over the years. And then when I did try to do it, I was doing everything wrong. So I would run into places where I would do a show, for instance, and then the next day I couldn't talk. And I know a lot of artists experience that. And you've seen plenty of artists who lose their voices and they have to cancel concerts and shows and all of that. I would have been one of those people because my voice was just so destroyed all the time. So I went around and I started searching for coaches everywhere. And I just started going to people, somebody help me, please fix this. And then I finally got to one guy who started to explain to me what was going on. And I thought, all these years and I couldn't get this, I couldn't figure this out. And it wasn't the whole thing, but he gave me enough information that I decided I'm going to do this further. So I got crazy. I got into figuring this out. I said, I want to know everything. I went to a doctor, an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I happened to end up at his office one day and I was in this workshop and he started explaining things to me. Then he started sending me clients of his, patients of his who had had vocal damage for me to rehabilitate them after surgery or whatever it might have been. And so I didn't know what I was doing. And so I had to figure all of this out. It forced me to learn so much more. I had to study the anatomy, I had to study things and figure out what was happening so I could affect a result in these people. And then I discovered, oh, I guess I'm getting it because I could see how all of my stuff beforehand had led me to this place where I was supposed to be. So I'm working with people and over the years I just kept figuring out more. I kept getting better and better. I hooked up with some celebrities who started then promoting my name a bunch. And for a period of time, well, there was a few people that came in first, like Brandy and Macy Gray and all of these people, Nona, Marvin Gaye's daughter. I mean, I had a lot of different people that were pretty well known, and so people started to discover me. Also, I had this was well before your time, or most people who were probably listening to this, but there we had it. I don't know if it still exists, but at this time we had public access television, and you could go in and get your own television show. And so that's what I did. I had this show. This was so long ago, and people were discovering me because of this public access show. At that time, what would happen when you would turn on your TV, your television cable, your cable, if you had cable, would go right to the channel, which was public access. So a lot of people had a more opportunity to see me. We didn't have internet or anything like that at that point, so you had to look for whatever. And so it just kept growing. So I started working with all sorts of clients, and I learned so much. And I also came to understand how neurotic we all are. I also came to understand that artists, creative people, have all of this kind of stuff going on that makes it difficult for them to really control their lives or direct their lives. So I thought, but I got really good at helping them with that. So the next natural phrase of my life progression was then to be a life coach as well. So, and sometimes I combine both of them because I realize I'm always doing the same thing. When I'm working with a client vocally, I'm also helping them to look at their lives in a particular way as well, and to get some clarity on that. So that was kind of a lot.
No, that's great, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. You know that you have the means to flow naturally, and the progression is there, and that's all great content. Tell me, so who are some of the artists that you've enjoyed working with most?
Working with?
As far as your coaching, or in any sense of the words, really.
Well, there's so many of them. That's a good question, Derek, because this is perfect because I have so much trouble with that, because people would think that I would talk about the celebrities or the big people and all of that. But I'll tell you what happened. What makes me the happiest is when I see people who are just doing this for themselves, for fun or whatever, and to see them improve, and to see them, see them get better. That is the most thrilling thing for me ever. Today, just a perfect example. I brought someone to tears, and there was nothing that made me so happy than this. She is this lovely young woman. I did a group thing. I have these. I've just recently started these group trainings.
Shout her out. Who is she?
Nyla is her name, and so people will see her. And I don't know what stage name she has, some other weird long last name that I can't pronounce. But I think she's changed it to something else. But it's Nyla, and but what happened was, I'm talking about we're doing vocal things and all of that, and I tell a little bit of my story in there, and she started to get really emotional because I'm looking at someone. And I heard her last night, as a matter of fact. I heard a recording that she had done. I said, she has real talent, and this needs to be developed. But then I also saw that she had talent beyond just singing, because she went to Smule, the sing-along thing you can do, and you sing. And she did a Disney song from I think it was from Frozen. She did this song from Frozen. And the way that she delivered it, she embodied the characters. You felt the characters. And so I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, you're more than a singer. You're probably an actor as well. And so I said this to her during the group, and that's when she started to cry, because no one had known that before. She had hidden it away. She had put it away because she didn't know if it was realistic. She didn't know if she could do it, And so to see her finally acknowledge this and to break down in tears, I go, that's why I'm here. No, you're supposed to do this, and you're supposed to go for it and just develop. And so now, that just before we came on here, I saw that she was sending me an email. She wants to talk more about it and really keep going, because that's what we all need, is that helping hand, a voice that can listen to us and say, no, wait a minute, you're going in the right direction. My whole thing, Derek, is that, and you probably know this from when we talked before, because I know that everyone's life has this beauty and this purpose, and that's what I saw in you, and that's what I could see you're still doing it here, which is truly amazing. And that's what I see in people all the time, and that's what I definitely saw in her.
Yeah, thank you. I can totally relate to Nyla. because and what you had expressed earlier,
Mm.
I delved into the intricacies of the arts in so many different ways prior to my higher education. But when I got to higher education, I got an Associate of Arts degree. So I studied a lot of philosophy, took acting classes, vocals, piano, etc.
Oh, cool.
And that was really my introduction to music formally. It was actually very funny because I would slangishly say things to my German vocal professor,
Right.
like you call that this, well on the street we call it that, and it was just hilarious. It was like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air sort of stuff, man, but nonetheless, the understanding was there and it developed quickly. And so I can also relate to you in what you were talking about doing so many different things, man. I've worked so many different jobs, just to continue on my path. So, tell some of the viewers, a bit about some of those experiences and how you've leveraged them, you've utilized some of those outside influences, if you will, your outside financial sustainability outlets to create.
Okay, I'm telling you, you're asking me these questions that are so great, and I could go on forever. So I know we
Please,
have a limited amount of time here.
please do.
But let me tell you, and I can do this probably very quickly because I did this video a long time ago that I said I had no direction in life. And I couldn't, because I came home one day. I remember this so well. I had gone to the gym. I came home and this thought was in my head. I thought, you've been all over the place your entire life. What is that about? And so I started to try to chart it. I started to look at when I first left, I went to school, but then I left school. And then I thought, because didn't want to do that, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought maybe I'm supposed to do what my father did. And so I thought maybe it's accounting because that's what he did. And I was good at that. And so then I started studying it. When I was first in college, I was studying accounting. I thought I was going to be a business major and teach that. I always knew I kind of was going to be a teacher, I guess, but I thought that's what I was going to teach. So then I took a and I was being an accountant. I did that for 4 years and I thought, but this isn't where I'm supposed to be. And so then I left that, went to another job, and now I'm going a completely different industry. I'm managing beauty salons for this company. I go, I don't know anything about this business, but I did it. I learned so much because I had to deal with people. I had to deal with crowds. I had to deal with so many different things. I thought, okay, so I left that. Then I was into modeling, and because I did a little bit of that. But I started working for a school, so I started teaching again. I started teaching modeling, and then I morphed that into personal development. Didn't know where that came from, but I knew that this was all leading me to something. Didn't know exactly what it was, but because of that, and I stopped and I looked back after I did that video that day, Derek. I came back and I looked at myself and go, why did you do that? It's because this is who you are. You're the person because you couldn't figure out what you wanted to do. You didn't know if it was the right thing, what you wanted to do. You're supposed to help everybody else come to the place where they know what they're supposed to do in their lives and that they feel secure in that knowledge.
Yeah, I'm in a similar place myself with this particular platform because and everybody that knows me even remotely knows that I'm a hip hop artist first and foremost. I'm also a university trained vocalist. This whole situation has just come so gracefully and it's just
When you said to me, and I've got to bring this up because you're in such a really, really great place, and I love it when people do this. You said that when you just started this, you just decided you were just going to start this, several days ago, whatever it might have been. That was not an accident.
Certainly not. It's been a culmination for a long time.
Yeah. And you built this up, you've been guided, This is a thing that you're supposed to do. And then because you are a hip hop artist, which is so perfect because you'll bring more eyeballs to the message that you're trying to get out. And that's what you're doing with this podcast. I can feel it.
I've been gaining so much support, Roger.
Right.
It's ridiculous, really. And I just want to say briefly, like I've been so stubborn, man. I'm a solo independent artist, and I want what I want when I want it, and I just I have this legend in my own mind mentality, and it's just been amazingly exalting.
Okay, but no, okay. I'm sorry. This is, I have to do this because my life coaching thing always comes out no matter who I'm talking to. But no, that legend in your own mind is exactly what I want you to hang on to. It's real, and that's what you're gonna have.
Oh yeah. No, don't
But
get it, don't get it
there was a
twisted. No, no, no,
no,
no, no,
no.
no, no. Listen. You listen to me, sir. I'm
Okay,
telling you that I live the elusive paradox. So
okay, good. All right,
good
good.
luck pinning me down, man. The entirety of my life is based on the 21st verse of the Tao Te Ching, my brother. So
Good.
don't get
Yeah.
it twisted.
Yeah, no, there was just an element that you said that I know because some people, I know what you mean because I do it too. We would think that, well, who do you think you are? A lot of people have that, and I have just the opposite. I want you to say, yeah, this is who I am, and
Yeah, no,
just and own that.
I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, man.
Okay,
Don't you forget
okay,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm just saying it's nice to bring together this community and to
yeah.
be serving and add value, and
Yeah. Let
it's
me
a
go back to one other thing that you asked me about people who have inspired me. I'll go back to Macy because more people would know who she
I
is.
absolutely
Macy Gray.
love Macy Gray.
Yeah. So um, she was perfect. Macy came to me when she was in college, and like you, she was doing something different. Excuse me. She was going to college. She was in the film department at USC, I believe. Yeah, at USC. And so that's where she thought she was going to go. She loved writing, so she always wrote stuff. But at some point, she was writing these what might have seemed like poems or prose or something like that, and people started reading this stuff. And someone said to her, "This is really good. You should. Have you ever thought about putting this to music?" And she hadn't because she never sang. She was a musician though. She played. She grew up playing piano and other things. So, but she had not done that. They said, "Well, you should do that, but your voice is terrible." That she was told. So you need to get voice lessons. And so, and so that's how she found me. And so she started coming to me, but that was difficult. And I'm saying that she won't care. She loves us because
Shout out to Macy.
straight out to Macy, yeah, because she was afraid of it in the beginning, and she didn't like her voice. She would have all these excuses. She would not show up for her sessions, or she would cancel at the last minute. All kinds of crazy stuff. But I knew what was going on. I know resistance when I see it. We get afraid of things and the whole bit. So it was fine. But she eventually she stayed with it, and then she did, and we kept getting better and better and better. And so then at some point, then I didn't see her anymore. And I go, I didn't hear anything. I didn't know what had happened at that point. And so then years later now, you have to appreciate the story. Years later, my clients were talking to me about Macy Gray. I didn't know who they were talking about because that's not how I knew her. I didn't know that name. That's not her real name. And so I kept hearing this thing about Macy Gray. And then one day she was going to be on the Rosie O'Donnell show, and I heard this, and I said, okay, I'm going to make a point of watching this show today so I can see who this woman is that all of my clients are so excited about. And so I sat there, turned on the TV, and I saw Macy come out, and I fell off the sofa because I go, that's Natalie McIntyre. That's her real name. And I thought that I was shocked. And so then and then I didn't even talk to her then. And then about a year later or so, she contacted me. And she contacted me. This was so wonderful because not because she needed help, but because she had been on tour and the three of her backup singers had all wrecked their voices. They had destroyed their voices on this tour. So she wanted me to coach them. And that's what we get back to. Well, I said, well, how is your voice? She goes, my voice is good. she,
Where? Go ahead.
because she said, all I did, she goes, all I did was I just kept,
That's right. Yeah.
she had a cassette tape of our sessions. And that's what she used to keep going over and practicing and getting better. And then in between this, now I didn't know the whole story of what had happened, but she had left LA, which is where we were first working together. She'd left LA. She went back to her home state of Ohio. She got married. She had 3 kids. And then before she left, I think she released something here that didn't go anywhere, that wasn't right. It was a different name. It was something strange that wasn't her, basically, and it didn't work. And so then after all of that, she gets divorced, she moves back to LA, and then that's when Macy Gray was born. That's when she started doing her stuff, doing it the way that she wanted to do it, and that's when it was born. And she's still at it.
That's right. Yep.
What were you gonna say? You were gonna ask me something.
Oh, I was actually gonna ask you where Macy was from, but you told me.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, in regards to what you were talking about Macy, doubting her abilities and whatnot, when Eric Clapton was pretty young, about 17, he doubted his writing abilities, and I'm gonna throw this out there for the viewers, that are really into music and whatnot, but one of my introductory, losing it there. But anyway, I was made to watch Tom Dowd, The Language of Music, which is really amazing. He was a pay-for-hire producer. I mean, just was recording in stereo 10 years before even the UK knew what was going on. So, like, when that boom hit from mono to stereo, people were, had figured out that Tom Dowd was recording in stereo before it was even possible to be understood. But anyway, and then another story was Chris Christopherson, man. He was he turned down going to West Point, I believe, to go be a custodian in Nashville, and his parents were very upset about that, to say the least. And Chris Christopherson actually flew a helicopter onto Johnny Cash's property to pitch some of his songs to Johnny Cash, and June looks out the window and says, "John, there's a helicopter in our yard." So, yeah, I always love getting those stories in when I have the opportunity. I've gotten to work with some pretty awesome individuals as well. I got to make some original instrumentation with Scott Arnott, who did some world tours with the heavy metal band Exodus as a guitarist, and he was mentored by Joe Satriani, man. So I mean, he is just amazing on the guitar. One of the other things that I wanted to ask you is you talked about being into accounting for years and such. So give our viewers a snapshot for those that are very independent, like yourself and myself, or I that's my perception of you. You seem very balanced in your logical and artistic side. So first, tell me what do you do primarily as an artist? Do you push your own music or anything of the sort, or are you just strictly into the coaching? Okay.
I'm strictly into the coaching. It's so funny, and people are discovering my old stuff because I don't talk about it so much. The last album that I did, it was an album because it was 20 years ago. That's the last full 12 songs on that thing, and it's still out there. And one of my clients discovered it. I said, you have to search for it. I just never talk about it. And she says, oh, why don't you promote this? This is really good. Well, it's 20 years old, number one. It's dated. It's all of that. And plus, I think I could probably do it much better today. That's just how I feel. It's not, but it's also not my direction any longer. I love singing, and I still sing just for myself. And if I'm invited to go and sing for someone, I will absolutely do it, and I love it. But the thing that I am so passionate about is to get people to believe in their dreams and their mission and what they're supposed to do. And that's what it is. And if, if I sing again or something else gets out there that's popular, fine. But it's more important for me to work with other people and to get them to move forward and believe in who they are. And I say that because I did not do that for so long in my life.
Yeah. Who are some artists that influence you, and tie that into your coaching if you can?
Okay, that's so interesting. I just thought the first person that comes to mind was Peebo Bryson, and I'll tell you, I love your question, Derek. To tie this into my coaching. So, Peebo Bryson, I just thought he was this amazing singer, and I would watch him, and he had the higher voice, and I was trying to develop my upper range, which most singers try to do, especially when they're first starting out. And so, but there was this one song that he had, and it was called "Can You Stop the Rain?" And it goes, and the chorus of it goes into this really high, kind of falsetto-y kind of thing, but he does it in a whole different way. He has this connected voice, and I said, I want that, because I knew that I couldn't get it because my technique had been so bad. And so I thought, you're going to get this song. And so I would stay with it. I would just stay with it. And I said, I will know I've made some progress when I can finally sing that chorus or the bridge of the song in the way that I want. And one day that happened. And so what that brought me was to this thing that I use called practice, patience, and persistence, my 3 Ps, meaning that you can get anywhere in life if you decide to use those 3 things. If I'm not getting something because I couldn't get the song right, that means I'm practicing something wrong. I'm doing something in an incorrect way. And so I've got to start practicing it differently. And I said, okay, I can do that. Then I stayed with it for so long that I had to become patient, because I would get so frustrated. I would want to give up. I see so many artists who get to that place where they want to give up, where they think it's not going to happen and they lose faith. That's where I was. And so that's why I add to this. Then you're going to come up with that. So that's okay. You got to get over it. And the way that you get over it is you're going to decide to be persistent. If you stay persistent, you will get there. I've got another story for you. I'm going to throw this in, and this is exactly what I mean. And I just talked about this. This just happened yesterday. There's a show on called Songland. I don't know. It's a reality show, competition kind of deal for songwriters. I don't know if you've seen it at all. It's on NBC. It airs on NBC, but it's called Songland. And Ryan Tedder is one of the people on it. Probably the best known name, and then two others, Shane and there are 2 other writers that are on the show. But the premise is major artists come there because they're looking for songs, and they are going to select a song to record. A major artist. There've been so many. And so last night, the person on there was her, the artist Her. She was looking for songs. And so I had gone on last week and I did a video because I said, I want all my clients to watch Songland because it's the best show, because it's so educational. You see the craft of writing. You see how, there's so many great artists, and they're all different, but they're all trying to figure it out. So this is such an educational thing to see how this process works. So I wanted everyone to watch it. So then after I did that, I received a message yesterday from a former client who was on the very first, I hadn't seen her in years, but she was on the very first season of The Voice. She was the youngest contestant. She was 16 years old at the time. That's when I was working with her. She came out here to LA from New York, and I'm working with her, and she got on The Voice, and she auditioned. She got through. She was Christina Aguilera, picked her to be on her team, so she was doing great. And so she had a career, things that happened after that. She didn't win the show. She didn't go that far. However, it led to a few other things, but then nothing until last night. Then after I did the video talking about Songland, I see a post from her, this client, saying she's going to be on Songland last night. And I go, oh, cool. I'm going to watch this and see. And so she came on to see her. I'm just so full with this right now because it was the most thrilling thing ever. because I've seen someone who's been working at this for, that was what, 10 years ago, 11 years when The Voice, at least 10 years, I think, that The Voice first came on. So that's how long ago this was. And, but now she did the songs, all the singers came out. I mean, all the writers came out, the four of them, and they picked three people. She was one of the three that they worked on developing the songs. And at the end, her got to choose who she wanted. And she picked Kel. She picked my client. Then her did a video of that. That video is now on iTunes. It's #2 on iTunes today. And this is it, and just to see this evolution for somebody who stayed with what she was doing. She practiced all of those things. I mean, in the beginning, and I hope you guys check her out. You'll see the videos will be out there, her performance on Songland and everything. Because when I first met her at 16, she was having vocal problems. She wasn't always on her pitch, because that happens as you're going through your adolescence and your voice is changing. And so things have to be a little different. But last night she was just brilliant, and it was just so thrilling to see that. So, and her mother was sending me a message about it all to make sure that I would see this, and so I was thrilled. Anyway, that was the kind of stuff that makes me really thrilled.
Yeah, you call it overcoming everything. I call it no matter what. Shout out to my friends that know what that means.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about your balanced business side. What are like is so essentially, is life coaching the basis of everything that you're doing in the game, so to speak?
Pretty much. That's interesting. I love that, Derek. Yeah. You're asking me questions in a way that gets me to think about them in a new way. So it's perfect. Life coaching is my entire life, I get, but the vocal part is it's a part of me. And so what I'm saying to everyone, I want them to embrace every aspect of who they are, because a lot of people, especially creative people, have different areas of their own creativity. Let's say if you're a musician and you decide, wait a minute, I want to play piano, but I also want to play guitar, and then I want to learn bass, and all these different things. And so you just learn how to focus, and how to put them all together and spend time in all of them, develop all of them. Then you'll see what happens. For me, I realize that the life coaching is everything. The element that I use to get there sometimes is vocal coaching. Because when I'm working with someone on their voice, I'm also helping them become more confident in who they are. That's always what's going on, no matter what. Because a singer is going to, or a rapper, whoever it might be, they're going to feel insecure about something that's going on in their voice that they can't access or feel something.
That psyche trip is nuts,
Exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah. And so that's the part. So I have to work with that. And even though I'm doing it in a very physical way, when I'm working on the voice, I still am very aware that I got to help you change your brain, because it's only our limited thinking about anything that is holding us back.
Let me pause for 1 second and tell you, you said change your brain. I just want to tell the viewers, and this is just a side note, man, wonderful book, Daniel Amen, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, man. There was another one that was similar with vocals in particular, but
Oh, really?
yeah, Daniel Amen's been on like TED Talks and all of that stuff, just amazing work. Yeah, so as far as what is your business name, Roger?
Good question. Well, it's Roger. I took the vocal coaching out of the whole thing. I was actually, that you mentioned that, I was going to talk to my accountant. I'm going, do I need to change the name of my corporation now? Because I don't want it to be kind of isolating, because my corporation was Roger Burnely Vocal Studio. I go, but I'm so much more than that now. So I think it needs to be something different. So I started using Roger Burnely Coaching. However, the thing that I'm working on now, which is going to be the program that I'm going to leave to the world, is something called Empowerment Made Simple. And what that is giving, it's going to be an online program that people will use to really work through all that psyche stuff, as you mentioned, to work through everything in their lives, and to also figure out how to get to doing what they want to do, how to create the life that they want, how to break it all down and figure out why they were born. And I'm saying that intentionally because everybody was born with a purpose. Everybody was born with something that they're supposed to do and something that would make them happy, fulfilled, and bring them a lot of money. All of it. That's how we were all born. People just don't know that. So I'm going to give them the ability with these tools that are in this program to start to uncover all of that. And so that's the thing that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, live long and prosper, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for saying that, because respectively, that is being meek, man. We're here to multiply and flourish, and
Right.
it's a beautiful thing.
I have to change this. I have something I'll tell you now that you just said that. I had something on my website. I think I've changed it now. We've been revamping it as I'm trying to figure out. And just in this week, it's going to be different because I'm doing a different branding, because I thought people really need to understand what my work really encompasses, and so part of it is going to be putting the empowerment made simple somehow into that. So I've got to figure all of that out. That's not what I was going to tell you. I don't know. I forgot. I lost it. Okay, it'll come back.
So, are you the sole proprietor of your business?
Yes. Oh, we were talking about the name. That's right. Yeah. That's where it was. Yeah. I am the sole proprietor, but I'm really feeling that I might go back to, and we're just talking this out loud now, that I might use Empowerment Made Simple by Roger Burnley.
That's beautiful. Let it out, brother.
I might just call it, the program I'm calling, it's Empowerment Made Simple by Roger Burnley. But right now, I don't know. I'm just going to have my site stay as it is. Right now, my website is rogerburnley.com. And I think that's going to be what it is. And I will just put everything that I'm doing under that umbrella, because there'll be several different aspects of it. So
you heard it here, folks. Keep your ears and eyes open for rogerburnley.com.
Right.
I'm a very spiritual person. I listen to a lot of contemporary spiritual teachers and such, and I love your enthusiasm. These spiritual teachers say that spiritual teachers seemingly look as though they're doing nothing, even though they are constantly engaged in activity. And I just love that, because that's just saying that no matter how simple or intricate something is in life, they're ambiverted. They are just so balanced, and I just appreciate those traits and qualities about you, man. You just
thank you. And you mentioned something earlier, and I'm going to talk about that. And I changed the name from this. You talked about Overcoming Everything, which that is still there. The podcast are still up under that name, but I changed the name. But people didn't understand why I picked that in the beginning, and it was so hard to try to explain it, because people look at me now and they say, he's so happy, he's doing great, this man has never suffered a day in his life. Of course he could say everything is just okay. No, I suffered a lot. I went through some of the worst things that anyone can possibly imagine during my life. I almost died many times. There's no reason that I should still be on the planet, except that I guess I'm supposed to do something else. But there were so many things. And I was a person who suffered from, that had periods of my life where I was really seriously ill, where I suffered from depression, where I was addicted to opiates because of all the pain I was in. Every single thing you can possibly imagine, I had gone through, and I go, this doesn't make any sense. Why would one person have all of this stuff happen? And then after I moved through it and started recognizing and saw what my life had brought me, I thought, oh, because you're supposed to help everybody else know that they can get through this and do it as well. That's the entire point.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for being transparent, to the core of your being. one of my predecessors, God rest his soul, would say that faith can take the sting out of the winds of adversity.
I love that. Yes, yes.
And I certainly suggest that it will. In my experience, I've been in 12-step recovery. I've been clean for over 10 years. Which is over a third of my life at this point. Which is amazing, man. Because as an adolescent, I was just wilding out, man. I mean, I truly have overcome everything, which is, we talked about a lot of that in the interview that you and I did, and so
that's why you're so impressive to me. It's just, and so your legacy is just so important for the world. To hear what you've done, what you've accomplished, what you've been through, and what you're doing now. That's why earlier I just said I'm not going to let anything, not even you, diminish the light that you're bringing to all of this.
Yeah.
So this is very cool.
Yeah, I've been so blessed, man. Being a stagehand for the past just about 7 years or so. I've been around countless artists, man. From Pink to Justin Timberlake to Miley Cyrus to Jay-Z to Nas to Kanye West, Justin Bieber. Like, I've set up all of these shows, just been in the mix, man. The first gig I did as a union stagehand was WWE WrestleMania.
I love it.
I've set up for Apple, Google, Facebook. I could literally sit here and give you a discography, so to speak, on the people that I've been around in the industry. Aftershock that I did in Sacramento in 2014 was freaking ginormous. Chevelle, Godsmack, Tech Nine was there, Rob Zombie. Literally that was
So
ginormous.
now you're informing us all of how well you were trained for doing what you're doing now.
Precisely, yeah. And I've had this in me for so long, man. This side of things. So, like, I want it to be known that I don't want this medium to take over, beyond my artist side, man. I've worked with platinum producers. I've been around, huge artists, in the hip hop world, and I fully intend to bring, interviews of all of these hip hop, some of which are just, truly iconic. Like, I've gotten to be around Chino XL and chop it up with him, and he was somebody that was beefing with Tupac, back when, and yeah, man, I've truly been, very blessed. I got to I met Machine Gun Kelly in 2013. Like, long before the beef between him and Eminem, and all of these things that you don't really think about, in that sort of depth, until it's just funny, man, to be in somebody like that. Like when Kanye came through San Jose, I was working at the Shark Tank, and the hockey stadium there, and that was literally, like, I think 2 weeks after he had his breakdown in Sacramento, where, like, he just went on this long, crazy rant, when he was supposed to be performing, like, on company time. It was interesting stuff, man.
Let me mention this now, because you mentioned Justin Bieber, and you're like him in so many ways. Let me tell you what I mean. Okay.
Please do.
Okay, so we all know when Justin first started, he was very young. He was discovered, and all of a sudden, and the internet did it for him, of course. Sure. And he got on Ellen. He did all the things that happened as a result, and he just blew up so quickly. He was still a kid when all of this was happening.
Usher had a
That's right.
part
And
to do
so
that. Uh-huh.
I think Ellen, I think between the two of them, because Ellen had him on her shelf. She was the first show I believe he was on. I don't know, something in there. But anyway, all of them, it caused him to get really large. And so for a kid, that kind of attention is like really crazy and unnerving. It can throw you off. But then he was also going through a thing which no one kind of understood. His voice was changing. And so the little kid voice that he had earlier, he was not able to do anymore. And so now when you start feeling that, you need help. And so unfortunately, the help that he started getting was in partying a lot and drugs and all the other things that were going on that he was doing and doing crazy stuff because he couldn't handle everything that was happening. And so then he had this complete turnaround. He found his spiritual side. He found his spiritual self. He found his humanity. And there was a time in the beginning where all of my clients, I had so many clients who were loving him and following him and doing everything he was doing. I go, and in the beginning it was great. Then when I started seeing this weird part that was happening, I said, no, don't watch him. Don't do it. Don't do what he's doing. This is crazy. Then as he changed, I'm going, please watch him. Please watch him, because this is a person who has now transformed in such a magnificent way. And the good things that he's doing for the world, which most people don't even know about, that he doesn't even talk about quite as much because he's just doing them. It is the most brilliant thing ever. And so what I said to you, the fact that you are a hip hop artist, you'll bring the music community in and all these people that you've met and all the people that you've worked with, you're giving people permission finally to own every aspect of who they are, especially that spiritual side, which you're doing. So thank you.
Yeah. No, I wanna give freely what has been so freely given to me, and stay tapped into the evolutionary impulse of the universe. And as Deepak Chopra stated it, synchro destiny, manifesting your destiny in real time.
Right. Yes.
I appreciate that very much. And writing for me brings about what's in my subconscious into my consciousness. And I've delved into the intricacies of so many different literatures, and being an eclectic being that I am. I mean, it's just it's amazing, really. I love that endless modulation, floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, baby.
That's funny. Oh, I'm gonna do one other thing since we only got a minute here. And you said that was on point. Because Muhammad Ali, I did a video. People, they'll search, they'll probably find that. I think I called it "What I Learned from Muhammad Ali," and what it was I was talking about the story. I remember when I was a child, and he was Cassius Clay. That was his real name, and that's how we all knew him then at that time, because I'm so much older. But anyway, and so when he decided to change and become Muhammad Ali and become Muslim and do all this stuff, we thought it was the craziest thing ever. And then to hear a black man at that time talking about, I'm the greatest and I'm pretty and I'm all these things. No, you don't do that. And I couldn't hear it because I'm still repressed in my own being. So I said, I couldn't be that person. And now I started to appreciate, oh my word.
Well,
those are the words we all need to hear. Those are the words we need to embrace.
Yeah. Well, Muhammad Ali, man, was kicked out of boxing from 25 to 28, which is the prime of a man.
Exactly.
I mean, like the absolute prime, generally speaking, of a man, and came back at 28 and freaking just,
he had to be true to himself.
Right. Not only did he have just insanely amazing endurance, but he was mentally just freaking quasars away from from anyone else, and that's ultimately why he was the greatest in the world.
Yeah.
Right. So I just want to tell everybody to be sure and check out Roger Burnley. He's an amazing man, and I appreciate him being on the show today. And that's all the time that we have for this take of Small Talk with Devoted. And be sure to look. I will have all of Roger's information up in this video. I definitely put it at the end for sure, and also generally at the beginning, which is kind of pointless for me to be saying right now at the end of the video. But yeah, so thank you so much, Roger. I appreciate it.
Thank you. This was the best. You can't know. Thank you so much. All right, I will talk to you soon.
Okay, man. Peace and blessings,
Okay.
brother.
All right. Thanks.
All
Bye.
right, bye.